Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy. Hey, dear ones, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 180. I can't believe it. Today, we are still in our series, Unlocking Emotional Freedom. It's part 6. We're going to talk about embracing your most intense emotions and embracing a wide variety of emotions. So we got some good stuff in store for you today. For those of you who are big feelers and have big, intense emotions, you do not want to miss this episode. I do first want to tell you, you have only 2 more days to get signed up for our most amazing workshop yet, The Art of Living Well. It is time to break free from the constant stress and overwhelm that is keeping us stuck, taking our energy, and time to say yes to more focus, more joy, more energy to unleash in your life. Let's break up with the stress, you guys. I have been studying the stress hormones for a while now, and I am telling you, we were not created for endless cycles of stress and overwhelm. It disrupts our sleep. It leaves us exhausted and irritable. It clouds our thoughts, making it hard to focus. It disrupts our immune system. It zaps our energy, leaves us feeling drained and uninspired. It dampens our spirit, harms our health, and impacts our most important relationships. It's time to uncover the real reason we're so stressed out so that we can unleash the most extraordinary version of ourselves, the version of us that lives with powerful sense of clarity, presence, and joy. So if you haven't signed up yet, you're almost out of time, but not quite. So if you're listening to this in real time, go to ediewadsworthcoaching.com/livingwell and join us for one of our most transformational workshops. You guys, for the price of a Starbucks, you can get in on this training and break free from your negative patterns, master your emotions, and create your most extraordinary life. I cannot wait to see you there. ediewadsworthcoaching.com/livingwell. All right, you guys, how much are you enjoying this series on emotions? I am loving it so much. I've been teaching about emotions for almost 10 years, and I have often told my clients that it's sort of that up and down life, that emotions are up and down. Sometimes we feel great, sometimes we don't. I had a weekend where I was on top of the world and I felt like I was in the depths of despair. And I think sometimes we shy away from our big emotions, but I want to share with you this quote from Henry Nouwen, which I love so much. He says, "We tend to stay away from mourning and dancing. Too afraid to cry, too shy to dance. We become narrow-minded complainers, avoiding pain and also true human joy. While we live in a world subject to the evil one, we belong to God. Let us mourn and let us dance." I love this quote so much because it demonstrates getting to the place in our lives where we can embrace both, where we can be with ourselves and with others at our lowest, when we're mourning, when things feel hard, when we're grieving. And we can also be with ourselves and each other when we're dancing, when we're on top of the mountain. I think of, when I'm having so much fun with Tom or having so much fun with the grandbabies or laughing with my kids. We can have both, and we should have both. We were meant for both. Last week in episode 178, we talked a lot about reframing our triggers and beliefs so that we don't stay in this constant state of negative emotions. But that doesn't mean that we don't love those negative emotions. Those negative emotions are there as messengers to teach us something powerful. And remember, at their core, emotions are waves of energy. So think about it like being in an ocean where there's just waves and you're going up and down. Life is a lot like that. Think about the last 24 hours of your life. Think about the last week. You probably had both. You probably had some ups and you probably had some downs. This is the way life is. Those emotions are meant to flow through us. And if we just allow them to flow through us, which we're going to talk about more in an upcoming episode, how do we do that? But when we learn how to do that, and we learn the skill of doing that, all emotions become really almost like no big deal. You're like, oh my gosh, I was resisting that emotion. I was so afraid to feel rejection. I was so afraid to feel frustration. And when you get good at just allowing them and processing them and feeling them, they become so much less than when we try to resist and avoid. They become way more intense for us when we try to resist and avoid. So ask yourself, how am I doing that? If it feels like, which it has for me for much of my life, like you're carrying around a heavy backpack, that probably means that you're not just allowing and experiencing them, that you're resisting them, that you're holding on to them, that you're burying them, that you're not just allowing them to be the waves of energy that they are flowing through your body. And as you learn how to allow and process these big negative emotions that you feel, in the coaching world, we call that holding space. How can you make space for yourself to have these big emotions? What I notice is that there's so much life energy around it. When I feel really, really sad or really, really angry, there's something about that, y'all, that reminds me that I'm alive. There's something about those big, intense emotions that remind us, like, oh, I'm alive here. Like, that really got my goat, or that really made me sad, or that really did whatever. I love embracing the intensities of emotions, whether they're big positive emotions or big negative emotions. I think it's such a good reminder that we're human, that we're here, that we're alive, that we're awake to our lives. One of the things as a physician practicing medicine that I noticed as I was prescribing like mood altering drugs is that people didn't feel. They would lose their ability to feel. They would become indifferent or apathetic. And oftentimes it's sometimes hard to remember what it feels like to just feel alive and feel really joyful or feel really sad. It's a powerful reminder, those emotions that we have, of this gift that God has given us of being alive and being able to feel this sort of contrast of emotions. There's so much beauty in the contrast of it. We wouldn't know what it's like to feel intense joy if we didn't know what it was like to feel sorrow. And as we learn how to embrace the emotions more and more, what we realize is that the more we're willing to feel the negative emotions, the more amazing the positive emotions feel to us. And so learning how to sort of even balance those big negative emotions with big positive ones. So a lot of times we become conditioned to the negative ones. We create those emotions in our bodies through just habit, but we don't make it a point, like Henry Nouwen said in his quote, to dance and laugh and create those big positive emotions. So you guys, I love stand-up comedy. I love nothing more, especially when I'm feeling a little, I don't know, down, not quite as alive as I'd like to feel. I love to put on stand-up comedy, John Chris, Leanne Morgan, or whoever is your favorite, and just laughing. There's something about that belly laugh that reminds me that I'm alive. Are we giving, airtime to the positive emotions? Are we creating experiences in our lives where we can really laugh, where we can be joyful, where we can dance, where we can create a lot of connection for ourselves? And one of the things that I have loved so much about having little Tommy boy in our lives is he is the king of big emotions. Y'all, he is not hiding any of it. He is not suppressing it. He is feeling all of those big feelings and he is telling us about it. And I have learned so much from him through that process. It has reminded me of how much I like to suppress mine, of how much I like to pretend I'm okay. And, Stevie and I have both learned so much from him of how to just be willing to feel what you feel, to allow those emotions, big, small, negative, positive, to just flow through us, to be part of our lives, to be part of the way we experience the world. And I will tell you that as I have learned how to do this more and more, what I have realized for my own life is that this emotional experience is the way we experience our lives. And are we willing to gain the skills to make that experience what we want? And I have to tell you that it has been worth every bit of practice that I have done, every bit of failing that I have done, to really gain emotional resilience and gain emotional wealth, because the way I experience my life is so different. I'm so much more available to joy because I have opened myself up to sadness. So that contrast of emotions, those big feelings you have, can you just open yourself up and say yes to them all? Can you just welcome them in? Can you say yes to the beautiful contrast of life, with its disappointment, with its heartbreak, with its joy, with its sadness, with its laughter? Can you open yourself up to all of it so that you get a bigger, more robust, richer experience of your life? Because that is what is available to you when you say yes to the contrast, yes to the big feelings, yes to the intensity of emotion. Let it remind you that here you are in this world, alive. Another miracle of a chance to enjoy this life, to enjoy the connection, to embrace the things that feel hard. So let's open ourselves up to it. And I will see you next time as we continue the series on unlocking your emotional freedom. Love you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.